Hi everyone, welcome back. We're here today at the Capital HQ Investor Day here in Sydney, and I'm your host from Wholesale Investor. And today I'm joined by someone who's literally building bridges between two incredibly dynamic business ecosystems. So please join me in welcoming Sophia Demetriades, the Chief Representative for Dubai Chambers here in Australia. She's about to join a panel session on international opportunities for Australian companies. But before that, we will get to speak to her about what's really happening between Australia and Dubai right now. And we're going to dive into a very interesting conversation. So stay tuned. Sophia, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, and good to be back.
Absolutely. Now, Sophia, you've got quite the background. So, you have a background in journalism, sales enablement, coaching, and now you are the bridge between Australia and Dubai business communities. So, can you tell us, just keeping it quite high level, like what was it about connecting these two ecosystems that, got you into it?
Yeah, um, I started my career in Norway, where I'm originally from, and I worked with building adaptation programs for the universe or for the colleges there, and helping people adapt to Norwegian system when I was very young.
Yeah.
And then I decided to travel overseas and ended up in Australia. And I worked in the international education system here for some time before I started my own management consulting company, where I also built work integrated learning programs. And that's where I kind of slowly moved into working across borders, setting up business and sales enablement and things like that. So I was kind of searching for something to do, and I started working on a PhD that was about how entrepreneurs use their networks to succeed, both overseas but also in local environment. Because as we know, many entrepreneurs are immigrants, and so I kind of did this random thing and was thrown into the deep end by myself, and ended up founding the Norwegian Australian Chamber of Commerce in Australia. And then Dubai Chamber reached out to me and said, you've been part of launching that chamber, the Estonian chamber, European chambers. Could you set up our chamber here? And it became full circle in a way, back to then working with the Middle East, where I'd previously worked with in Norway, and then 20 years later here. So it's an absolute pleasure and privilege that they reached out to me, and I'm having so much fun. And there's so much happening between Australia and UAE right now. It's 50 years of diplomatic relations. We have the SEPA agreement that's being ratified tomorrow. We have this group of startups that Wholesale Investor is taking over to Agritech and expand North Star. Look, there's a lot happening.
There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and it somehow makes sense that I'm part of this.
Absolutely. You're right. Like they say, right place at the right time. So it was like that. So let's jump into it. So can you tell us, when you're sitting down with Australian businesses, whether they are startups, scale-ups, or more established companies, what's the conversation usually like? So what are the first questions that they ask you about Dubai?
They're looking for a way to kind of build trust and grow across borders, which for anyone is a very complex, challenging thing to do. And they just want to know, can we trust you? Can we go there? It's new, it's exciting. And a lot of people say that Dubai is today what Singapore and markets were about 10 plus years ago. And that's very true. And so they're just kind of looking to find out, who can we trust? What can we do? Because they're seeing a lot of things online. Some of that is a misrepresentation, and they're just trying to, figure out what's happening. And it's so good that we're here and that we've been here for just over 2 years, because we need to have someone that they can trust in building that. We already have business commissioners between the countries and between the states and the Emirates. But it's really necessary to have someone here on the ground as well. Absolutely. So, they just want to know, can I register my business? Where? There's a lot of questions around the free zones. Free zone is a tax-free zone where you can register your business in Dubai. It's just these huge business centers. There's 27 of them at the moment. And they just want to know, what does that mean for my business? Or do I need to register on mainland? How can I get a bank account? All these kinds of things. There's a lot of nuances, but in the end, like, you have those kind of more technical questions, and then a lot of it is about how do I build trust, and how much presence do I need on the ground to deal with a different culture.
Absolutely. And given like how much, like you said, misinformation that can be there now on the internet, it's wonderful for the companies that, that Dubai Chambers is there to assist them, especially now they're looking to expand. So now let's talk about the other direction. So what are Dubai businesses looking, when they look at the Australian market, what do they bring to the table that's attractive?
Yeah, look, the family offices and the larger businesses in Dubai are very successful, and they're very wealthy. And some of them don't need to expand overseas to grow to the level that some of the businesses here do. Like the Australian market is quite far away from the world, but Dubai really is a center and a hub. But many of them are very, very open, very well traveled. A lot of them have done international education. They are very young people. There's a lot of very young people kind of running the country and being having power, but also being very involved, which is really good to see. And they're interested in going overseas. They love Australia. So it's an easy sell. And the businesses that are interested in Australia, they are interested both in selling products here. It could be handbags, perfumes. It could be food. It could be car parts, telecommunications parts. Lots of very good, very varied. It could be batteries for EV, and things like that. It could be jewelry. So it's really fun and industry agnostic. But they are very, very interested in Australian agri-tech. In particular. So almost every week we set up meetings with companies interested in buying agri-tech from Australia or investing into agri-tech, because they don't want to just put their money into a project. They want to be part of it. They want to be involved. They want to bring it into the Middle East. They're looking at what is really useful. So for the Australian companies that want to go here, they really need to think about what works in that market. And for the Dubai companies that are coming here, they really need to be thinking about what is needed in this market. And they need projects big enough to invest as well. So some of those projects I mentioned can be quite small, but those families that are very wealthy, they want to look into really big infrastructure, for example, projects and things like that.
It's very interesting that you shared about the sector. Like agri-tech definitely is one of the sectors which is really growing in Australia. So it gives them a lot of opportunity over here. Now, Sophia, someone who's watching this interview and, let's say that they're interested, but they're also thinking about the reality of actually doing this, because like you mentioned at the start, it's not easy. There are a lot of things that they have to, go through. So what does the process look like? Like, where do you think that they should start?
Yeah. Usually I would never say go there first, but I actually think that's one of the first steps, that whether it's on a holiday, on a stopover, or a business mission, you don't necessarily need to plan so much before you go. You can plan a lot and prepare a lot and follow that process. I think a lot of people would benefit from just going there. We're happy to facilitate some meetings or set things up, whether you're planning a big visit or a small visit, but really going there and getting the feel for what it's like. There's such good energy, very entrepreneurial. And the program that we're putting together now with Capital HQ and Wholesale Investor is a really good one, especially for startups. Not everyone have the funding to go and launch businesses and set up offices. They might want to, raise investment or have some connections first. And so instead of kind of flying over on their own, it could be a lot of comfort of being part of a group. So that could be going over on their own, going over on delegation, or coming over from these two flagship events that we have coming up in October, which is, of course, Expand North Star, the world's largest tech and startup, the world's largest investor and startup connector event, and GITEX, which is the world's largest tech event. And these coincide. So they're from the 13th of October to the 17th of October this year. And we're taking a delegation over from Australia, and a big program around that to meet up with investors, possible partners, the Australian Business Council that's located in Dubai that they can connect with, lots of different stakeholders in that industry. So then do that now and then go back maybe next year once or twice and kind of build on that. But we're always here to support them on that journey. We can connect them with different free zones, make sure that they talk with lots of different people and figure out what works best for their business. But go there.
Definitely, for sure. And that's really practical advice that you have shared over here. Now, Sophia, so we'll be heading back as well to Dubai. So Wholesale Investor is organizing the Venture Capital Conference. And we did in partnership with Dubai Chambers, and we did something similar earlier in the year as well. So firstly, I would like to ask, so I have a two-part question. Firstly, when we organized the event earlier in the year, what was your key takeaways from there that, you would like to share?
That event happened so much faster than I expected it to happen. Steve said, I'm going to go over there. I'm going now. We're going in May. And then suddenly May was upon us. And that only just happened a month or so after we had the agri-tech roadshow here in Australia and gifted away flights for Australian businesses to go and pitch at agri-tech. They're going over now. Cytolix and Oric that went to Singapore earlier in this year. Two incredible Australian businesses that are going to have great success in the international market. Wholesale Investor just managed to get together such a big group. And it's almost like I wish we had more time, but glad we did it so quickly. There were so many people that were interested in that event. And then after it happened, so many people were like, oh, God, I wish I'd gone to it. So they're obviously going to come to the next one.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show how much interest there is between our two markets.
Absolutely.
And how well received Australians and Australian businesses are in the UAE and particularly in Dubai. So that kind of brand name that Australia brings is helps a lot. So and having Steve Baxter and a bit more famous people also come along on that trip was very helpful, and we're really looking forward to the group that's coming here. But yeah, I also didn't expect the Australian startups, and if one of them raised a significant amount of money very quickly, and we didn't expect that to happen so fast. We warned everyone saying like this could happen, but don't be disappointed if those expectations aren't met. So manage your expectations, and sure enough, some of them had great success. So hence why another group going already in the same year, and this is something that we can continue with. So yeah, it's fun when things end up being a little bit bigger than you thought.
Absolutely. I myself, I can say that, I definitely had clients reaching out who were like, is it too late to register? Can we still participate? But with the next one now that's coming up next month, what is your advice that you would give to founders who are traveling to Dubai for the first time? What should they prepare for?
Oh, I don't know. I remember first time I went there, I was incredibly excited. It was before I started working for Dubai Chamber, and a little bit intimidated, by something strange, different, unfamiliar. And or even when I came to Australia, I remember, many years ago having those thoughts and feelings. And but I think that's an added reason to actually go. It's very exciting. It's very fun, and that energy that you get from that will kind of get you very far.
Yeah.
And Dubai is the perfect place to go to if you're looking for that type of energy, because people there are not just energetic and happy to, invest and talk and meet, but they're also very transactional. They're very international. They're very well connected. And so for people who are thinking of going over, I think sometimes we can tend to overplan a little bit. And maybe the thing to do is just trust that things are going to fall into place. Businesses sometimes go over there for a meeting with one person, and then suddenly there's 4 or 5 people coming into that meeting, and leads to another meeting and another meeting. So you might be thinking, I only have 1 or 2 meetings set up. And then by the time you get home, 15 meetings later, it's a lot of things that's happened.
That's the best outcome, though.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're only thinking about just having one conversation,
Yeah.
and it carries on to double and triple in size. So that's truly wonderful.
Yeah.
So Sophia, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. For anyone who's watching this interview, if you would like to get in touch with Sophia, how can they contact you? Like, how can our audience members?
Well, they're welcome to email or call me, but I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and we're getting a lot of traction there as well. So they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm only Norwegian chick with a Greek name who lives in Australia and works in Dubai, and I'm pretty quick to respond. So
Wonderful. Thank you. And definitely do catch her on her panel session discussion as well, because joining her is Irfan Malik from INQ Innovation. So stay tuned for more interviews in this interview series at the Capital HQ Investor Day event. Thank you. Thank you, Sophia.
Great, thank you.